The Collapse of Logic as an Apologetic Methodology. From CARM.org. The laws of logic are rational statements that are universally true. The first law of logic is the law of identity, which says that something is what it is and is not what it is not. The second law of logic is the law of non-contradiction, which states that something cannot be itself and not itself at the same time in the same sense. Third law of logic is law of excluded middle, which says that statements are either true or false. Such laws and other logical laws form the undergirding foundations of rational thought. The collapse of logic. Continuing from CARM. It seems fair to say that an absolutely perfect mind would produce perfect thoughts. Since the logical absolutes are transcendent, absolute, and perfectly consistent, and are independent of the universe, then it seems proper to say they reflect a transcendent, absolute, perfect, and independent mind. We call this transcendent, absolute, perfect, and independent mind God, since a physical brain is not transcendent by nature, because it is limited to physical space, and God is, by definition, transcendent in nature. Assumptions. For the purpose of this presentation, we will assume the following are true. We assume that it is true that there are logical absolutes, as CARM asserts. Those absolutes reflect God's thoughts, as CARM asserts. That man can understand and express those absolutes accurately and precisely. And we assume that mankind has been corrupted by the biblical doctrine of the fall is also true. Additionally, we assume the Calvinist dogma of total depravity is true. The Calvinist total depravity means sin, or the fall, affects every part of mankind and every attribute of mankind. With the above assumptions, the following questions arrive. How can a totally depraved or fallen man understand and accurately express the thoughts of God, in this case the logical absolutes, without those thoughts being corrupted by sin to the point of being inaccurate or at least imprecise expressions of God's thoughts, including the logical absolutes? If total depravity or the fall doesn't corrupt the expression of the logical absolutes by man, then it must be explained how that occurs without violating the fall or total depravity. If total depravity or the fall does corrupt those expressions of the logical absolutes, then an explanation must be offered that allows a mind totally depraved or fallen by sin can accurately and precisely express the thoughts, in this case the logical absolutes, of a sinless God to his fellow man. Or, to state it another way, how can a mind corrupted by sin, assuming the fall includes the depravity of the mind, express accurately the thoughts of God, specifically the logical absolutes? And further, assuming the mind of man can indeed understand accurately the thoughts of God, in this case the logical absolutes, doesn't the usage of man's language to express those thoughts to other men necessarily corrupt the expression of those thoughts, assuming the fall or total depravity includes the corruption of language? Conclusion. If it doesn't, then presuppositionalists, in this case Matt Slick, must explain how that occurs.